All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks again for joining us today. We're going to be talking about Dynamics GP, shipment to cash, and 8 ways to get paid faster. My name is Adrienne Montgomery. I'm with ERP VAR, and I'm so pleased to be joined today by Starship and Collectit. They're both leading providers of Microsoft Dynamics GP enhancements. And a little bit about the companies. I'm pleased to be joined by Ty Seidel. He's a sales executive over on the Collectit side for Dynavistics, and Chris Letner over with V Technologies on the Starship side. Thank you guys for joining. And a little bit about Starship. V Technologies was founded in 1987, and they are a leading provider of multi-carrier shipping software that connects your warehouse to the front office within Microsoft Dynamics GP. They have dozens of solid partnerships with parcel and LTL carriers. On the parcel side, FedEx, USPS, UPS, OnTrack, and on the LTL side, Holland, UPS, YRC, Old Dominion, and several other regional carriers like Pitt, Ohio. And they have a very solid, mature integration with Dynamics GP, but they also recently developed their integration with the newer Dynamics product, Dynamics Business Central. They also have strong integrations with Sage 100, 300, 500, X3, Acumatica, QuickBooks, SAP Business One, Epicor, and SysPro. They integrate with leading e-commerce connections like Amazon, eBay, Magento, Shopify, and WooCommerce. And Collectit is an accounts receivable management system that integrates easily with Dynamics GPs and the policies and processes that you have in there. It helps you manage your receivables by automating your accounts receivable strategy to increase accounts receivable representative productivity and get sales paid, and helps you bring in that cash for your business operations quicker. Your productivity soars and representatives meet goals with automated communication, prioritize workloads, and all the information that they need in one place to collect on receivables. So we're going to be talking today about 8 ways to get paid faster. And accounts receivable and shipping are an integral way to get paid faster. We're going to be talking about automating the LTL and small package shipping with FedEx, UPS, XPO, Logistics, and YRC. We're going to eliminate that rekeying of data into the carrier systems from Dynamics GP. And your accounts receivable and customer service representatives will have that quick access to shipment history so that they can help expedite the receiving of the cash. And Chris is also going to talk about streamlining international shipments and automatically generating those associated documents. And Ty is going to talk about how to reduce DSO and predict cash flow, automate those workflows to help the collection tasks increase team efficiency and improve on collections efficiency overall with dashboards. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Chris right now to start it off with Starship. Thank you so much, Chris.
We have the updated Starship client here that's browser-based, basically a facelift to the traditional desktop application. Still the same program underneath. We've also launched a cloud version of the application as well, which is available in a multi-tenant environment on the Azure platform. I have a feeling you may have lost visibility to my screen because I'm having some technical difficulties staying connected to my server at work. So I'm just going to kind of talk through things here. Hopefully our visuals come back online. With Starship, you have the ability to process shipments with a variety of parcel carriers and LTL carriers. You have a number of options for third-party logistics companies as well. Starship integrates with Worldwide Express, Unishippers. You also have options for Freightquote and C.H. Robinson. We've also introduced a new transportation management solution through FreightView, which expands our options to over 80 different options for LTL carriers. So quite a few different options there. The idea with Starship is to eliminate the manual entry of any data from GP coming into the manifest. So you have the ability to process transactions without having to rekey any data into your bill of lading or your export documents. We'll go ahead and process a transaction here. That'll fill in all of the manifest detail on the Starship user interface from GP. You have your products, your ship methods will translate. Starship will calculate the freight based on your cost and can apply any kind of handling fees on top of that. You also have rate shopping available across multiple carriers. With the newer cloud version, you're also including all the various carriers that we support with the program instead of the a la carte pricing for the on-prem. You can do a rate shop here and look at all the various carriers that are available to you. Looks like UPS still came up as the best option, so we'll go ahead and process the transaction here. That will trigger emails to go out and notify your customer. That can include any kind of copies of documents that Starship produces, export documents, bills of lading, packing lists, any copies of labels that you want to send out to your customer. That could be branded emails that have your logo and your color and formatting on them. All that information will trickle back down into GP, so you have that available there in the front office for customer service and for increasing your ability to invoice quicker. We'll go ahead and pull up the GP screen here. My apologies, the server is being unresponsive again, so I'm unable to open up the GP screen. Basically, we're updating a number of areas in the sales order processing area. You have the batch ID, so we can move the transaction along the workflow by updating the batch ID. That'll allow you to take batches of invoices and transfer them over. You also have the order header comments, where we'll insert all the shipment detail, have different types of comments between freight and parcel mode. With that, you'll also have the tracking detail going into the user-defined fields. So you'll have tracking numbers for each of your packages, bill of lading number for your LTL shipments. And we also can update freight, so we can take your cost, plug that into a user-defined field, and pass freight back to the order itself, so you can turn that into an invoice. That can include any kind of handling fees or rules that you want to configure to mark up your freight, to discount it, or to zero out the freight altogether. There we go, just back on the server again. So you have your freight here, and your costs would go into, say, a user-defined field, tracking to the table here. We can also get into GP's extender tables with our SQL extension. If you have other platforms that you want to integrate with, Starship can also tie in with your EDI software. We have over a dozen different e-commerce connections that are available. For your front office, we also have a dashboard that's available that can give you metrics on your freight spend, the ability to do lookups on your historical transactions. All of that can be output to flat files or spreadsheets or PDFs, and anyone in the front office would have access to the dashboard as well. The branded emails I mentioned, you have the ability to create emails that would go out to your customers with your logo, all of your information that could be embedded in it. And you have the ability to customize each of those with the email customizer here. You can add whatever fields you're looking for, barcodes, complete control over the formatting of the email and the timing. And you can have different emails that are generated with logic that would trigger them to go out based on who the audience is. Starship also can help you with your international shipments. We have a number of documents that are available in Starship to produce. You have the commercial invoice, the Canada and Mexico paperwork, shipper's letter of instruction. We also support the paperless electronic trade documents for both UPS and FedEx Now. Also integration into the government's ACE website. So if you have products where you need to file for an ITN number, you have the ability to do that electronically through Starship and automate that whole process. With that, I will turn it back over to Adrian and Ty to take you through the next part of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Chris. And Ty, I'm going to hand over to you.
what we're going to do with our application with the Collect It tool that we'll do a quick walkthrough in a moment is talk about how do we reduce the number of days sales outstanding? How do I get paid faster? If I'm normally collecting 15 or 20 days after I make a sale, how do I cut that down by a sixth or by a quarter? How do I cut down on bad debt? Typically, you'll have a handful of clients who perform fairly poorly as payers. And usually once you get a quarter out from the invoice, invoices become nearly uncollectible. So a lot of the clients we work with, the GP users in shipping and distribution, will have sometimes 4 to 5% of their actual sales just continuously outstanding and uncollectible. After 6 months, you almost cannot get paid at all. So how do we improve on that? What we do is we actually develop a workflow and we build some logic around the collections process. So let me jump over to the desktop now, and I'm going to go into our Collect It application. So this is just a basic Windows desktop tool. The way it works is it just syncs with Great Plains. So it's going to go in, it's going to look at all of our invoices, and it's going to pull information from there. And you can sync it as frequently as you like, so you can keep it near real time. Or if you like, you can just have it do a pull and sync back up right before your collectors start their days. The first thing we're going to do is look at, hey, how does it normally look? What do I do now in my business? A lot of people don't have a lot of process built around their collections. It typically falls to accounting or occasionally to a sales rep, but you just go in and you say, well, what are my outstanding invoices? Who owes me money right now? And then I'm going to make a plan to start going after them. And I'm going to reach out and make a couple phone calls. I'm going to find a way to get paid. So the first thing we do is we just look at a typical AR aging report. I'm sure every controller here, if we have controllers or anyone in that end of the business, is going to have a quick look at something like this. So it comes out in a grid format. And then you look and you say, okay, well, who owes me a lot of money? Who owes me a few small sums of money? I see that Chris and I have a lot of the same demo data. These Aaron Fitz electrical folks, they're always in trouble. So we'll stop and look at them. Okay, so I've got 24 invoices here at various stages of aging, including one here that is nearly a year past due. So what I would normally do is I would just start calling through. I would look at them and say, okay, well, that's the oldest one. That one is only $64. So I'd go down one and, here 302 days. Okay, well, that's a $4,000 invoice. I'll call on that. That's the old way of doing things. It's a bit disorganized. You print off an aging report, you start calling who owes the most money, and then maybe you filter it in descending order and you work from there. What happens with that is it's very easy to have things slip through the cracks. And it's not in a logical fashion. So what Collect It does is we start to build strategy around how do we approach collections. So sorry, I'm going to resync here. Okay, so here's where we get to the real logic of Collect It and collections management, is that you can start to develop a Boolean style logic-based approach with 3, 5, 7, 10 steps if you like. And you just go in and as the administrator or as the collections manager, sometimes it's in finance, you start to set up logic where you say, okay, well, between 0 and 7 days, if something is past due, what am I going to do? I'm just going to send a quick letter. And in this case, the letter is set up as an email with flex fields and is going directly to the payables contact. And then step 2 is going to be, between 1 week and 3 weeks. If we have not received the funds after the first week, we're going to get a reminder to our analyst to make a quick phone call 3 days before it goes 20 days past due, so on and so forth. And then you update as you work through it. So you might have a number of different strategies for a number of different clients. It's many to many, and you can assign unique strategies to each one of your clients. But the main thing that you're looking to do here is actually set up repeatable behavior that your payers, your clients, the ones that don't necessarily pay on time or that don't behave well as payers. It's not that you're playing hardball, but if you're just being professional and they know that, okay, well, as soon as my invoice is 20 days aging, past the initial point that it was due, I'm going to get a phone call. I'm going to get a second reminder letter during the next period, so on. And then if I haven't paid after the first 5 weeks, we're going to copy in the CFO. Now that's not required. That's the way we've set this up. You might not want to contact a CFO or CIO or a logistics manager until you're 45 days, 60, 80 days past due. But this is all user configurable. So what happens is that you start getting paid more frequently, you start getting paid faster, and not only that, you're following a good process. So this is all administrative function or management function. What does it look like as a day in the life as an actual collections agent? So we go back to our main screen here, we look at our task list, and I have a series of calls lined up, and these are all generated from my strategies. These are the strategies that I've actually applied to the payers. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to start working through them one by one. Now, typically I would start with the first calls, look at my calendar. I'm logged in as rep 1. I've also got a second rep on here if I want to do it. So here are my task lists for this client. I can go in, I can take a quick look at all the supporting documents. I'm going to drill down one more level, check the invoice, and say, okay, well, this is the work we did here. This is the value. That all looks good. Now I've actually got the contact here. I've got all of their information. I can leave notes for them. And then I can start setting up payments if necessary. I can start marking invoices as paid. And then I can take a look at the historic payment behavior as well. So as I'm working on that, I can sync back up with the Great Plains database and then just kind of go from there. It's pretty straightforward. We're setting up logic and a way of following our process and actually making sure that we email and call our clients after we've closed the sale.
Have a great rest of your day. Take care.